Hi, I'm Katie Duke, and I've been a nurse for over 20 years. Listen, I used to think that I was my most stylish in my 20s, but honestly, style and confidence only get better with age. And that is why I love Figs. These scrubs are beautiful, comfortable, and they are built to last. They're not those boxy, scratchy uniforms that we all started out in. No. These fit perfectly. They feel amazing, and the quality is just wow! My favorite color? Burgundy. It's chic, it's timeless, and it's even the same color as my apartment, because I'm kind of obsessed with it. And I love adding custom embroidery to make my scrubs as personal as my style. And since I work in telehealth, my embroidered Figs even double as my ID badge. It's never too late to reinvent yourself or your scrubs. Get 15% off your first order at wearfigs.com with the code FIGSRX. That's wearfigs.com, code FIGSRX for 15% off your first order.
If you've noticed that your sleep isn't quite what it used to be, you're not imagining it. Maybe you're waking up earlier. Maybe you're more aware of every little sound in the house. Maybe 3 a.m. has become strangely familiar. As we move into our 40s and 50s, sleep changes. Not because we're broken, but because our biology is shifting. On today's episode, we're going to talk about what actually happens to sleep in midlife, why it feels different, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Because better sleep at 50 isn't about chasing 25-year-old sleep. I'm Jay, and this is Somnilopod. Hello everybody, welcome back. So glad that you decided to join me today. Talking about something that I'm finding more and more important as I grow older, and I imagine that you are as well. You know, there's a moment in midlife when people start saying things like, I used to sleep like a rock, or why am I suddenly waking up at 3:17 every morning? And if you're entering your 40s, 50s, or early 60s, and sleep feels different, you're not imagining that. Sleep does change in midlife. But here's the important part. It's not broken, it's just evolving. So let's unpack what's happening physiologically, neurologically, and hormonally, and what that means for real humans trying to function the next day. As we enter midlife, one of the most consistent changes is a shift in our sleep architecture. What we see is a decrease in slow wave or deep sleep. We see slight reductions in rapid eye movement sleep as well. And with those reductions, we see increased stage 1 and stage 2 sleep. Those are lighter stages of sleep. We also see more brief nighttime awakenings. Deep sleep, what we often call the restorative sleep, declines gradually beginning in the 30s and becomes more noticeable in the 40s and 50s. And this is normal neurobiology. Your brain is simply producing less delta activity as we age. But subjectively, what's it feel like? It feels like you wake up easier. You're a lighter sleeper. Never feel as knocked out as you used to when you're going to bed. The sleep isn't necessarily worse, it's just changing. It's lighter, and lighter sleep means you're more aware of normal awakenings that were always there. Now remember, everyone wakes briefly a few times per night. In youth, you don't remember it, but in midlife, we do. That awareness can then create some anxiety, and anxiety fragments sleep even further, which leads to that classic cycle. You wake up, you notice it, you think about it, you stay awake. Midlife often comes with a subtle phase advance in circadian rhythm as well. And what that means is that you get sleepy earlier in the day, and you often find yourself waking up earlier. Many Gen Xers who were once night owls suddenly find themselves sleepy at 9:30 and they wake up at 4:45. This shift is partially driven by melatonin timing and amplitude. Melatonin production decreases slightly with age, and the timing of its release can shift earlier in the day. This is partly why those 3 a.m. awakenings are so common in midlife. The body temperature minimum, which is a key circadian marker, also shifts earlier. So once your temperature starts rising in the early morning hours, staying asleep becomes harder. And that's just biology. It's not a failure of the system in any way, shape, or form. For women, perimenopause and menopause bring profound sleep changes. And ladies, you know what I'm talking about. The fluctuating estrogen and progesterone can affect your thermoregulation, your body's ability to adjust its own temperature. Hello, night sweats. It can also affect your mood stability. It can affect the ability to filter out what would normally have been innocuous stimuli that you can no longer filter out. And your respiratory drive changes, and that may start to feel like sleep apnea. Progesterone has a mild sedative and respiratory stabilizing property, and as it declines, sleep can feel more fragile and breathing-related disturbances may increase. Estrogen influences serotonin and the GABA pathways, and when levels fluctuate, anxiety and early morning awakenings become more common. And for men, testosterone gradually declines with age. Lower testosterone can correlate with a reduced sleep efficiency, increased awakenings, and a higher risk of sleep apnea. Because in midlife, it's also when sleep apnea becomes more significantly prevalent, especially with weight gain, neck circumference changes, and the reduced upper airway tone. And many people think that they have insomnia, when many times it is just undiagnosed sleep apnea. I have seen this 100 times over the years. There was a TV show in the late 80s, early 90s called 30-something. And it was about what would have then been a group of baby boomers who were beginning to address the stressors of adult life. And you know what I'm talking about. Midlife is peak responsibility. You have career pressures. You're dealing with not only your children, but with aging parents, with college tuition, with health scares, financial planning, identity shifts. Your brain really becomes overtaxed, and for some of us that can be especially concerning at night. Cortisol patterns can flatten in chronic stress like that. Ideally, cortisol peaks in the morning and then drops at night. But in stressed midlife adults, evening cortisol may stay elevated, making it harder to initiate and maintain sleep. The mind replays stuff. Your brain plans on how to fix it, and your nervous system just stays humming along when it should be trying to rest. Sleep becomes less automatic and more intentional. And it's the result of that accumulated cognitive load. And speaking of health scares, midlife is when we see spikes in certain sleep disorders like obstructive sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement disorder, chronic insomnia, GERD-related awakenings, and nocturia, which is frequent nighttime urination. Things like bladder changes, prostate enlargement in men, metabolic shifts all contribute to more nighttime awakenings. Even medications enter the picture. Beta blockers, certain antidepressants, steroids, diuretics, all of these can fragment your sleep. And midlife is often when the use of multiple medications begins. And this is where education really matters, making sure that you talk with your doctor and your pharmacist about the medications that you're taking and how they can affect your sleep. Because many people end up blaming themselves when their physiology is really the true culprit. And here's something that I've always thought was fascinating. Research shows that older adults often underestimate how much they sleep. Objective sleep may really only decrease about 20 to 30 minutes across decades, but subjective dissatisfaction increases significantly. Now, why is this? Because expectations stay anchored in youth. We compare 52-year-old sleep to 22-year-old sleep, and it's really not a fair comparison. Sleep need may decline slightly, but the bigger shift is in sleep continuity and perception, because sleep becomes more symbolic of our stage of life as we age. You know, in your 20s, it's just incidental. You sleep when you sleep. But in your 50s, it is precious. Midlife sleep disturbance often triggers deeper fears. You know, is something going on? Am I aging faster than I should be? Is there something wrong with me? And will this ever get better? But here's the truth. Midlife sleep is adaptable. Neuroplasticity doesn't disappear at 50. Circadian rhythm remains trainable. Behavioral sleep strategies still work extraordinarily well. In fact, CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, is often more effective in midlife than sleep medications because midlife adults are disciplined, motivated, and capable of routine. We got this, people. So here's what we can do. I'm going to give you a list of 7 things. You've heard some of this before, but let's sort of put it all together and hope that it leads us to a little bit better solution. The first is a consistent wake time. We have got to anchor that circadian rhythm. And it's tough to do sometimes when you want to sleep until, 9, 10, 11 o'clock on the weekend, but your body is not going to thank you. It may feel good to do that on occasion, but if you can remain consistent, your circadian rhythm will be anchored early in the day, and that will help you sleep better at night. Morning light exposure as well. 10 to 20 minutes outdoors if you can. Try to do that before 10 o'clock in the morning. If you just simply can't get outdoors, you can buy I had a little lamp that sat on my desk that was a bright light therapy lamp. Got it on online for $10-20. Make sure that if you do that, it's at least 10,000 lux in strength, and you only need to do it, like I say, for 10-20 minutes early in the morning. Not only does exercise help sleep, but consistent strength training has been shown to help not only preserve but increase slow wave sleep in aging adults. And I mentioned consistent because it's not a one-off thing. If you exercise one day, don't think that your slow wave sleep is going to be better that night. Your body knows you're trying to trick it. But if it's consistent, studies have shown that over time, that will make a significant change for you. You've also got to manage evening alcohol. It's nice to have a little drink every now and then, especially in the evening, but our tolerance to those things decreases in midlife. Address sleep apnea symptoms early. If you're snoring, if you're starting to wake up tired, if you've got a dry mouth in the morning, talk to your doctor. Just talk to your doctor. They can schedule either an appointment with a sleep physician, or they can oftentimes schedule the sleep test themselves to find out what's going on. And if you do have sleep apnea, get that stuff treated. It's easy to do. There are a lot of different options these days. You also want to reduce nighttime clock watching. Protect your brain from that crazy performance anxiety. You don't have to keep looking at the clock. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, every time you wake up. All that does is just create a little more anxiety, and as we know, anxiety is contraindicated to a good night's sleep. And finally, you always want to try to have or to introduce a wind down ritual. The midlife brain really does need some time for decompression. We can't do like we did in our 20s, stay up late, go out with our friends, study late, whatever the case may be, and then lay our heads down and fall right to sleep. We can't do that anymore. We need to have a little bit of a change. And perhaps most importantly, we need to normalize those changes. These are things that we just simply have to do. It's a plan. We like a plan. So what are we going to do? We're going to make a plan. We're going to stick to it. We're going to get this stuff taken care of, people. I know you can do it. Midlife sleep is different. Yes, it's lighter, it's earlier, and it's more easily disrupted. But it's also more intentional. And that's what I say about the plan. Just make a plan, stick with it. Now that you know what to do, you care about it more, you protect it more, you understand its value more. And that awareness is power. The goal in midlife isn't to recreate that 22-year-old sleep, but it's to optimize your 52-year-old sleep. It's a different mission, and it's a smarter one. If this has been helpful for you, I really would like for you to consider subscribing or liking on whatever platform you're on. If you're following me on YouTube, that really, really helps. Subscribe to the channel and like the content that you like or that you're listening to. If you like it, if you don't like it, I still appreciate you being here. But if you can do that stuff, it really does help me. You can reach out to me at j@somnilopod.com. You can also touch base with me on the socials, Facebook, YouTube, etc. You can also check out patreon.com. I've got some additional content there for new members, so give that a look-see. And until we talk again, please remember, make sleep a priority. Thanks so much.